Hello to all you Patriots out there in podcast land, and welcome to episode 192 of Canadian Patriot Podcast. What is probably the last live podcast in Canada, at least until somebody figures out what to do now that YouTube is changing how Hangouts works. But today is July 29th, 2019.
Hi, I'm Gavin, business owner, gun owner, hunter, volunteer first responder, and CCFR field officer for the GTA.
I'm Liberal Tim. I'm a liberal. I'm a husband and father of three. I'm a sports shooter and RSO tax shelter owner, lawnmower, beer drinker.
As always, my name is Andrew. I'm your host. I'm a recovering libertarian and competitive shooter and a firearms instructor at Ragnarok Tactical. And I'm also on that sweet, sweet government gravy train. We'd love to hear your feedback about the show. Please visit CanadianPatriotPodcast.com/feedback or email us by sending an email to feedback@CanadianPatriotPodcast.com. And you've probably figured this out if you're listening, but you can find the show on Stitcher and iTunes.
Nice. While you're doing that, you can also check out your favorite social media platform, other than Twitter, because Twitter sucks. But you can find us on Instagram at Instagram.com/Canadian Patriot Podcast and the Facebook, at least until we get zucked, on Facebook.com/Canadian Patriot Podcast.
We need your help to support the show. Visit patreon.com/CPP and become a Patreon. You can get a better quality version of the show for just $1 per episode. And the more you pledge, the better the rewards are. Show you're not a communist. Buy a CPP t-shirt for just $19.99 plus shipping and theft. Visit CanadianPatriotPodcast.com. Go to the homepage and follow the link on the right.
All right, it's time for What Are We Drinking? Every week, What Are We Drinking is brought to us by Arrowhead Coffee. Arrowhead Coffee is owned and operated by Canadian Armed Forces veterans. They love our country, the true north, strong and free, their family and friends. Join Arrowhead Coffee on their hunt for the perfect brew to raise morale and bring that feeling of home to you no matter where you are. A portion of all profits helps Canadian Armed Forces members, veterans, and their families. It's pretty good. I stumbled over part of that, and I still read the copy without messing up.
I didn't notice.
Yeah, I lost my place, but I've done this 100 and however many times, and it just worked.
He is a professional.
That's not true. Professionals get paid. I'm an amateur. Like Thursday night at Roxanne's. I totally stole Tim's stripper name, though. I'm known by Amber Alert.
Amber Alert, yes.
All right, let's start with Tim. What are you drinking, Tim?
Drinking Rickard's Red tonight.
Classic choice. Classic Tim.
Classic Tim. Oh, liberal Tim.
What are you drinking, Gavin?
I'm drinking Jim Beam Apple with Coke Zero this evening.
Ah, and only some people put their drinks in the show notes.
That's because you still haven't given us editing capability of
that is a lie, sir. That is clearly liberal propaganda.
Well, that's what we do.
Yeah, no, it says you can edit it. I can see.
Yeah, you're good to edit.
That's fine. So, I am drinking yet more single malt, single hopped homebrew. I don't remember what I drank last week, but this week I'm drinking two-row malt and Cascade hops. It's like licking a pine tree, and it's delicious.
You and I have different ideas of what delicious is.
Yeah, well,
I was thinking I would do this like thing where I'd like, I'm drinking like 23-year-old age Scotch and Dr. Pepper.
Yeah, I've got a nice 75-year-old single malt Scotch from a distillery that is no longer there because it burned down, and Brio.
Yeah. I'm also cleaning some paintbrushes in it.
Yeah.
That sounds terrible.
Enrage all of the people that listen and drink Scotch.
Great Scottish Ree would go up.
I feel bad for that one guy who listens to this and drinks Scotch.
Marty? Oh, I know. He doesn't like that either.
Marty doesn't listen either. Yeah. Marty only is on the episodes he's on. That's simply so that he can get out of listening to those episodes.
Marty and I have something in common then.
right, let's go into the news. It's that time of the week. Things that make us sad. We're going to start with the National Post. First article is Supreme Court of Canada to rule on military's no juries justice system. So I don't know if you guys had seen this or if you're familiar with how military justice works in Canada. If you're in the military, I mean, aside from the fact that technically you're government property, we have a separate but equal justice system for serving members.
Yeah.
And this is within the Canadian Charter of Rights and Freedoms. This is not a new thing. The military has always had their own set of justice systems. It's a uniform code of military justice. So it's separate from the regular criminal law system in our country.
Is it because
Classic.
our justice system is a joke, or
Yeah, kind of. I mean,
Okay.
the reason that the military has a separate but equal justice system is to provide officers with a way of ensuring that their troops are adequately disciplined. So you can be charged for things like losing government property, or stealing, or showing up drunk to work. Basically the same kind of stuff that you can be charged with on the civilian side. The piece that's a little bit fuzzy about this is that if you get charged with civilian offenses while you're a serving member of the military, you can also be held accountable in a military court.
so this
So
is
if
like
you're
in
Go ahead.
like in House of Commons, like if someone like our finance minister got some information and then like used that information legally to save his father's investment company like tens of millions of dollars, then he would have to get a trip to the ethics commissioner, right, and pay a $200 fine. Is it similar to that, but like in the military?
It's more like if you get caught driving drunk on a civilian road and you're a serving member of the military, like they might give you a ticket or whatever, make you go to civilian court, but then they can also charge you under the military's legal system, and then you might get a trip to Club Edmonton.
Oh, so they're held to even a higher standard than our politicians.
Yes,
Okay.
as are most people.
Oh
I
yeah.
didn't even think that was possible to hold someone to a higher standard than that.
So the military is considering change, or I guess, pardon me, not the military. The Supreme Court of Canada is supposed to rule on this, and I think the Supreme Court of Canada should probably, go and deal with its own case backlog.
I'm just curious though. So if the military has its own court system,
Ish.
how does the Supreme Court of Canada have any say over what they do?
The Supreme Court feels that they're entitled to make a decision based on the charter and how that applies to the military's system of justice.
I mean, I'm no expert on those things, but I'm calling
Yeah.
shenanigans on that. Like,
I'm kind of with you on that. I don't think the Supreme Court of Canada has standing, but I'm also not a lawyer and I don't play one on TV.
yeah, like
But I
unless
don't think it's up to the
there's the
Court to regulate
Supreme
this.
Court at the top of the pyramid, and then like there's two branches that come out of that say like military court, civilian court. But otherwise, yeah, like if you sign up to be in the military, you government property.
Yeah, you kind of are.
Like you've consensually signed over all of your rights and everything to do that. Like, for better or worse, that's what you've done. So that's your court now.
So we'll see what ends up coming of this. Right now, the legal system is all out of whack because military lawyers don't know what to do. So cases are being dropped, charges are being reduced, or in some cases, trials are being transferred to civilian courts. So see what the Supreme Court says and how they can ruin something else.
Yeah. Thanks, guys.
Why don't we do another one? This isn't strictly in the news, but you found it on Facebook, Gavin. You want to talk about police-related cannabis offenses?
Yeah, shocking, everybody. But apparently, ever since legalization, the police-reported cannabis offenses have been on the decline. So fewer people are getting charged with pot offenses now that pot is legal. In other news,
Wait,
water
what?
is also wet. Yeah, I mean, this is just, government nonsense that they spend money and make these little flyers that go out on social media, and they pay a bunch of money to tell you things that are a no-brainer.
Can we? I've had a third of a beer here. I'm a little tipsy. Can we take that from the top again, Gavin? Just summarize that. Give us a Cole's notes of what the whole article.
Yeah. Get in trouble for doing it.
I don't know.
Yeah. So yeah, apparently pot-related charges across the country are down 29%.
It's probably they probably get slower in the summer season.
Yeah, so 29% of the people are actually buying their pot from government stores. The rest of those are probably still buying it from their guy and getting in trouble. Yeah.
It's probably like the public sector union workers that can afford it. But...
Yeah, and I can get it before it actually hits the store. So
Yeah.
Get
it home and smoke it before it gets moldy.
Yeah. Yeah, this is just more government waste to try to like show how they're doing something good, but really it's stupid and pointless.
Shocking.
It's a no-brainer. Like, yeah. I mean, I'm sure if we legalize drinking and driving, there'd be fewer drinking and driving incidents too.
Ahead.
But
I do like the breakdown of the most common Cannabis Act offenses. That's pretty entertaining. 21% importation and exportation of cannabis. What? People are breaking the law about importing and exporting cannabis illegally? Shocker.
Weird, especially when it's not available legally anywhere. And if it is, it's overpriced and moldy.
Well, yes. 18% possession of illicit or over 30 grams of dried cannabis. 30 grams sounds like a lot. Not sure if it's more or less than a bushel. We'll never know. 12% possession of over 5 grams of dried cannabis, which, again, to me does not seem like very much, but again, not sure, more, less than a bushel, hard to tell. I can't believe that that's actually a thing that you can be charged with, is possession of over 5 grams. That's such a...
They were doing some. There was something else that was going along with this. Something with the way they were going to charge minors or not charge minors. Like, there's another way that this could have been affected, right? Because we were pointing out, when they announced the bill, everyone would just like turn to 17-year-olds for mules, you know. So I'm not surprised that the possession over 30 grams is down, because like it's just like they're not going to be, you know, you're not going to get charged for that shit. But
so the whole idea was to,
but it's a breakdown of the total.
Yeah, like one of the things was the whole idea was to keep pot out of the hands of minors. And that's why we did this. But now minors are allowed up to like 4 grams or something stupid like that.
It kind of reminds me. Remember Broward County? I don't want to talk about it too long because it's in America, but then we're a Canadian podcast. But it reminds me of in Broward County they were talking about. Remember there was the shooting and the sheriff's deputy didn't go into the school.
Yeah.
Yeah. Was it Scott Israel?
Israel was the sheriff of Broward at the time. He was not the deputy.
Yeah. So like they were handed down. It's very similar. They were handed down, an order to cut crime. So they just stopped reporting them.
Yeah.
They would find someone with a backpack with like 10 necklaces in it, and they would just like,
it works every time.
They'd go run on home.
Yeah. Hey man, if you don't report it, did it happen?
Yeah. It probably turns into a civil asset forfeiture with no contest anyway. But anyway, so like if you're not going to charge people as often, then the instances of criminal activity will go down. So
yeah, it's a no-brainer.
Yeah. All right, let's do something from the Calgary Herald. Lindsay Shepherd is back in the news. She got a Twitter ban this week, forever. Let me read the article.
I hear those are going around.
Mm-hmm. Press F for our man in Manila.
Yeah,
but on the Chronicle Herald, free speech activist Lindsay Shepherd on her Twitter ban. Your instincts should not be to celebrate. So I think Lindsay may be a little mad that she's not on Twitter anymore. But that's what happens when you live in clown world. This is what you get. This is the price of living in a civilized society, or something like that.
The thing that is with her though, like I do like it 'cause she has like she seems to have some credibility. She has some intelligence and certainly has some
Yeah.
education. But like she was right along that train with everyone else until she was under the wheels, and now
Yeah.
she's like so
She
against.
she got woke.
Yeah, if she had just made it through her last like half year of
Yeah.
post grad, she'd be probably teaching the exact same thing at a university. You know?
Well,
Yeah, just
I'm
going.
okay. I'm
"Ooh."
going to call
So-
this a win that she's in our camp
Yeah.
now, in the free speech camp, in the you should be allowed to say your unpopular opinion as long as you're not espousing actual violence.
Exactly. You can say all the dumb things you want and that you don't like this person or that person, that this person is inferior to you because of whatever ridiculous criteria you want. That's fine. People will just look at you and go, "You're an idiot."
Could you, for example, say that men are not women?
Well, I mean, in a free society, absolutely, you could say whatever you want, so long as you don't incite actual violence.
Could you say that after having disparaging comments made about the tightness of your female genitalia, could you make comments about at least having female genitalia rather than being a fat, ugly man?
You could say whatever you want. It's
Well,
freedom,
if you say
baby.
those things on
Freedom.
Twitter, you get kicked off of
Wow.
Twitter.
Well, yeah, I know.
Which I guess, as an aside, the first piece is, if Twitter's a private platform, then it's their sandbox, it's their rules, they can do what they want.
Yeah, absolutely.
I would contend at this point in time, Twitter is no longer a private platform. It is the public space, as you might see on a certain other YouTube channel. So if you're in the public space, you shouldn't be being censored by either a private entity like Twitter or a government entity like, the government.
Yeah, I mean, I get that argument, but personally, I still think Twitter is a private thing and they can do what they want. Like they make money doing it somehow, I guess. I don't know.
Yeah, I'm not really sure how Twitter makes money. I guess micro ads, something. I'm not.
Yeah,
in any
I mean they do somehow, but I mean it's a
I-
business, so
I am curious at what point do they become more like a public utility, right? Like your hydro company is a private business ostensibly, but your hydro company is not allowed to like turn off your electricity because you have an unpopular political opinion.
yeah.
So
mean,
at
I
what
guess
point does it become like a utility or a public a
well,
public space?
I mean, part of it is also that when you sign on to it, you agree to abide by whatever the thing in their like 50,000 page contract is that nobody reads.
Yeah, nobody reads that shit.
Well, and I guess if
Yeah.
that's the case, why is Lindsay Shepherd being removed and not the ugly man that she was making fun of?
Well,
We'll probably talk
exactly.
more about this particular
Who, Jonathan?
LGBTQ2 SIA individual next week, but yeah, there was.
Yeah, I think that's going to be a
incident.
show in and all of itself.
Yeah, that's a next week thing. I didn't want to. I figured like this is the gift that keeps on giving. We can talk about Jessica Yaniv next week.
Jonathan.
Jonathan Yaniv. I don't want to misgender someone. That would be
Yeah. Like it's no.
of me.
I hear what you're saying. Like as exciting as a good dumpster fire is, it's always like you wouldn't want to talk about it and then
too early,
leave, and then have someone say, "Oh no, the flames got much higher after you left." It was like it lit up the sky.
So we're putting that part off. The whole ball waxing thing. That's tune in next week to hear more.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah, if you wanted, if you want to get an in-depth look at the current state of scrotum waxing freedom in Canada,
So Lindsay Shepherd gets removed from Twitter for misgendering this person, and this person is allowed to have their own hateful, bigoted remarks about Lindsay Shepherd's actual medical condition that may make it difficult for her to someday have children.
Yeah, and that's the problem is that like they're not enforcing their own, terms of use or whatever they call it evenly and fairly. I mean, if they're going to have a rule and ban people for saying something hateful, then anyone that says anything hateful should be banned. Otherwise, it becomes ridiculous. And what's the
Right,
point?
and that's the thing is like I'm hesitant to advocate for more government in anything, but if this is a thing that we're going to regulate, like maybe it's time to take the regulatory power away from the private entities because they can't seem to treat the public space in a way that it's actually the public space.
Well,
Yeah.
see, if the media isn't going to like write about things honestly and openly, and with no bias, then you're going to need Twitter, just as the president of the United States uses in down south of us. You have to have access to those platforms, and if you remove those platforms, then it's kind of like like if you it's kind of like when they disconnected the Killdozer guy from the sewer, like water and sewer, and then said that he could no longer live in his house. Like, if it becomes a requirement because everyone else has it, then I think there's a case to be made for that way. But,
Yeah.
I mean, basically, the problem is like you've got Twitter now that's becoming more and more and more left leaning, especially as they start banning people that have even somewhat right leaning views. And then you've got Gab, which is totally right wing, because that's the only place those people can voice anything. You start getting trapped in an echo chamber if you're on
Here's
one
the thing with
platform
Gab,
or the other.
The thing with, and this is true of basically anything, is anywhere that is not anything that is an implicit right wing space, anything that right winged people, not politically correct people, extremely conservative people can have a discussion without the PC police being there to be like, oh, boy, you got a license for those opinions, mate. Those spaces automatically become right wing spaces because the left can't be there without somebody overseeing it and making sure that their politically correct opinions are being forced on the masses. So anything that is not explicitly a left wing space implicitly becomes a right wing space, because that's just the way that it works.
But that's the problem though. You
right wing,
whatever one you're on, you get stuck in that echo chamber.
That exactly. You get that. You get the other people that have the same point of view and the same opinions, and there's no real debate and there's no real conversation. It's just other people agreeing with themselves.
Yeah.
Because they typically aren't up for debate. They can't stand debate. They take debate as a personal affront.
That's why you have to have the PC police there to ban people that misgender you, because you can't make a cogent argument on your own. You need a moderator to remove the offending individual,
or just ignore them, like an adult.
But again, that doesn't happen in left-wing spaces. That happens in right-wing spaces. If someone who's extremely conservative doesn't get along with the people that they're debating, they just leave. They stop debating. They go back. They take their ball. They go home.
They say horrible right-wing things like, "Well, I guess we'll have to agree to disagree."
Well, exactly.
Or you're entitled to your opinion, but I don't agree with you.
That's a very bigoted thing, and this is the problem: is if you're going to be bigoted and you're going to say, "Well, you have your opinion and I have mine, and they're different," recognizing that they're different is in itself a bigoted point of view.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And if you don't have that,
like Andrew said,
if they don't accept that, then I've heard some people turn to the ever popular kill yourself.
Yeah.
I mean,
typically, the right
Godwin's law gets invoked, but
okay. Well, kill yourself will get you a Twitter ban.
Kill yourself will get you a Twitter ban,
and also a reach down is, hey, are you okay? You're not thinking of harming yourself, are you?
No. I mean, the right will typically take their ball and go home. The left will take their ball and try and get it waxed.
Yeah.
It's funny. Tune in next week to hear why.
Yeah, you can. Yeah, with this one trick, you can get your balls touched by women. You can force the government to make them touch your balls. It's hilarious with this one neat trick.
I mean, I cannot wait for next week's episode already.
I can definitely wait till next week. I'm not super. That was why I'm like, we're doing one or the other. We're not doing both of these in the same week. All right, let's do another one. This is on the community press. Ontario judge strikes down mandatory minimum sentence for first time impaired driving case of Indigenous woman.
I guess
Where's-
they
where's
missed
my
the
button?
the
I have a button for
mandatory
this.
part. Yeah.
Yeah, this is the way things are now in Canada. We are not a serious country. We are not governed by serious people. The Krytarchy is completely off doing their own.
Yeah.
Very, very angry.
Yeah, I mean, I had this a conversation along these lines. It was more in regards to the not hate speech of screaming "I hate white people" while you punch them, but I think it applies to this as well. And my comment was like this whole mandatory minimums and varied sentencing on thing. We need to just get rid of that and have this is the sentence for this crime. So that way it's enforced fairly and evenly to everybody. Like you do X, you get Y. Like,
well, let me read some backstory from the community press so that listeners know what we're talking about and why I'm angry. An Ontario judge has raised colonialism, racism, and the inquiry into missing and murdered Indigenous women as reasons for declaring part of Canada's impaired driving laws are unconstitutional, arguing it's unjust to give a criminal record to a 20-year-old Indigenous woman caught with a blood alcohol level 3 times the legal limit.
no.
The
3 times the legal limit?
3 times the legal limit. She
That's
she stole her mother's car. I mean, they're not using that article in the, or they're not using that language in the article particularly, but she took her mother's car without permission, with 3 times the legal blood alcohol limit, bounced it off a curb, nearly hit a light, and was then pulled over by the police.
Why is it always 3 times the legal alcohol limit?
Oh,
Because 4 times you'd be passed out. You can't steal a car if it's 4 times the legal limit.
Okay. I believe you.
I mean, I don't know if that's true or not. I feel like that's the
I'll
way
buy
that
it.
it works
No,
out.
it's every other media outlet can make stuff up, so we can too. And we're probably the experts on drinking.
As I pour myself another beer, I don't know, but you're right, Tim. It does seem like we never see any stories about it being 4 times the legal limit. And I honestly, I think it's
Or
just
like 1.5 times the legal limit, or
There's
2
so
times.
many, so many stories in the news about like a relatively small percentage of the population, and then it's always like 3 times the legal blood alcohol limit and driving cars to other people's places and getting them in trouble.
Driving stolen cars to other people's.
Less legally owned, I think, is what we're going to call that. Less legally owned.
Yeah.
Irregularly owned. Irregularly acquired.
Yeah, but would that not also then mean that she was like alternately sober?
Yeah. Alternative facts would be sober.
Yeah.
Out of curiosity, what's the BAC percent by volume for Ontario? Is it like
0.08, I think?
0.08?
Like 0.06, I think, is where you get like between 0.6 and 0.8, I think, is where you get that 12-hour suspension. But like
0.08,
yeah, but
So-
over that is like, yeah, you're done.
So 3 times the legal limit would be 0.24, right?
Yes.
Okay, good. So at 0.24, at 0.24, it is loss of consciousness. At 0.29999 is loss of consciousness. So I feel like I made a valid guess about the whole like.
It
If
is.
you're,
Do you
That's
think?
bullshit.
Do you think they drank a 2.4 to get to 0.24?
I'm definitely looking at stats on blood alcohol levels, and
Well, so am
0.3
I.
to 0.399 is a loss of bladder function, breathing disequilibrium, and heart rate.
That's
You
bullshit.
definitely pass out before
I
you
did a
pee
lot of
yourself.
research on this from the ages of 13 to 17.
Yeah, but maybe this is like the average person.
Like
And
this
not
doesn't.
like-
I'm
yeah,
sure.
this doesn't go to 18 beer though. Like this stops
Yeah.
at 5. The chart I'm looking at, and then it says, "Oh, that's 0.28." So apparently, like I'd be pissing myself, but
That never happened.
no,
Much.
never happened.
That I remember, anyways. Yeah.
Again, I feel like my guess was good that at 4 times the legal limit, you probably are just
Yeah.
passing out.
You know, I'm looking at these blood alcohol content charts, and you know what? Do you know what, guys? There's 2. There's one for women and one for men.
Ooh.
Oh,
Whoa.
we need like
What
38
about-
more
what
charts.
the other? I was going to say, what about the other 74? All right.
Oh.
Seriously
So,
though, like it stops at 5. Like
Okay, I found another chart that goes to
We-
10, but it's still I
we-
don't
we-
find a chart
yeah,
that
we-
goes to 18. It's just
yeah, seeing as like my record is over 10. Yeah.
my buddy and I'm not promoting drinking, but it's delicious and fun. But yeah, my buddy and I, we used to have to get a 2-4 and a 12 to split when we were like 17.
Yeah. Oh yeah, I've done a 2-4 in an evening, or like I did 13 pints of Guinness at the bar on St. Patty's Day
Yeah.
one year.
Yeah.
And
There you go, that's pretty good.
I didn't black out or piss myself.
No.
I'm proud of you. We should refocus on the
Oh yeah. No.
Yeah.
article at hand.
Pull back 2 tangents.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Instead of reliving the glory days, yeah, let's talk about Clown World.
Yeah, I don't know. The glory days had a lot less clowns in them. So I don't know what colonialism. I kind of see racism or the inquiry into missing and murdered Indigenous women. I don't really follow those reasons for not
Well,
giving
all
this
of those
person
things clearly drove her to drink and steal a car.
Yes,
and then
it's
make the
definitely not-
decision to.
It's definitely not the history of substance abuse and the diminishing promising future that are mentioned in the article. It's
Yeah.
definitely the colonialism.
Yeah, well, I mean, that's what caused all that other stuff. That's what they're gonna say.
I mean, I
Because
guess, but at the same time, like these are
Clearly,
meant to,
yeah.
we
clearly she
passed a
can't-
bill last year overhauling impaired driving laws for the entire country. Like there was a federal bill passed. It was
Because it's really bad.
yeah, because
Yeah.
some provinces didn't have mandatory minimums and stuff. So the federal government passed a bill that, again, not advocating more government on the whole, but in some cases, Bill C-46 was a thing that's like, yeah, provinces need to have mandatory minimums, and it should be like the same-ish, more or less, across the country.
Well, I just don't like if you're gonna have a mandatory minimum, you
Yeah,
can't
it doesn't
really
become
ignore that.
optional.
Yeah, like this whoever this judge was needs to figure out what the fuck mandatory means. Like,
Who, Paul Bernstein?
yeah,
Yeah, so
I
the
mean,
Burstein Burrs.
maybe we need to go and get this guy to take
show
some
title, Burstein Burrs. Write that down.
mandatory English classes so that he can learn what words mean.
Yeah. So in current year of Clown World, we've reached full equality by having different laws applied based on race.
Can we
and I
start
love-
calling it like in the year of our clown?
Yeah, in the year of our clown. I love that this quote sums it all up. Given the widespread discrimination against Aboriginal people, the imposition of a criminal record would only add to the challenges an Aboriginal person faces. So,
But
by
like not
giving
drinking
them,
and driving? Is that
Yeah.
is that a challenge that they would face? Like,
yeah. So now, because of the discrimination that Aboriginals face, they think that they can eliminate discrimination by not charging them with drinking and driving. That will make everyone love them.
man,
You know what I
levels
mean?
of
That's
equality that
their
shouldn't even be possible.
yeah. Because as he's saying,
Yeah.
and basically, yeah, he's saying something due to.
Yeah.
I lost my point. Due to discrimination, which unfortunately still persists, and this is literally the equivalent of like the government saying you got to take your little brother with you. You know, it's just you can't do that. You can't treat another people differently. With it's not then
Well, like, if
you're not being
worried that-
treated equal, so you're not going to like that person because
Well,
they're
exactly, especially
automatically
if they're worried that they're worried that these people like they're not getting along with other people. So like let's give them special privileges.
yeah.
That'll make them get along better with everyone. They get to get away for doing shitty things like drinking and driving and hurting people, but yeah, you do that? No, you're fucked for life. This person though, nah, fine. Keep making shitty life choices. Like, Clown World for sure. Infuriating.
I do have a comment on the judge.
I feel I should remind you that I do not believe that the position or the entire government should exist.
Let's do another one. We've got the Toronto Star. Maxime Bernier vows to slash immigration and impose a values test on newcomers. Can you hear that in the distance? The screaming and the pulling of hair, the gnashing of teeth, liberal heads exploding.
Yeah.
It's a wonderful noise. So I don't expect the People's Party of Canada to form a government or that Maxime Bernier to get anything more than one seat. I expect that the PPC will be rivaling the Green Party in size at the next election.
I'm hoping they at least
I'm wrong.
double. I'm hoping they at least double the Green Party because that would be hilarious.
As long as they
Well,
take it
they're
all from the
currently at
Liberals
3%,
and the
and
NDP.
depending on the poll, they're currently around 3%, which actually they're not far behind the Green Party. We'll see how accurate the polls end up being. So Mad Max was recently in Mississauga after canceling an event in Guelph. They were concerned over fears of protesters for some reason that the article does not go into. I wonder why.
Probably the Green Party.
It's Guelph, so it's the only riding in Ontario that has a Green Party in the provincial legislature. So Bernier's talking about reducing the number of people that we allow to immigrate into this country, passing a values test, a couple other points, and their stance is seems reasonable to me. The People's Party will break the taboo of immigration in Canada by forcing a conversation. Well, that seems reasonable. We're going to upset the Conservatives and the Liberals by doing this because neither of them want to talk about this topic.
I could get a job with the government forcing what was it? Forcing conversation. I could force conversation.
It's a lot better than them forcing some things we're going to talk about next week. But yeah,
I got leather gloves.
My idea of a perfect government is one guy who sits in a small room at a desk, and the only thing he's allowed to decide is who to nuke.
Yeah. I mean, imagine we had a leader that was willing to get up and say these things that Bernier has been saying lately.
Bernier is saying some good things, and I mean, this is going to upset the Conservatives.
Oh, everybody, which is awesome.
And the Liberals, which is, yeah, I'm super on board with this. Their immigration policy would be to half the amount of immigration we get, dropping it to 100 to 150,000 immigrants per year. We're currently over 300,000 per year last 2 fiscal years, so that's good.
I thought he wanted to half the immigrants.
Having the number of that we're allowing, not half of.
That's
different.
Not what I had in mind. But
yeah.
No. He also is interested in making it that it's a skills-based entrance exam rather than refugee status or other things. So we want to make sure that the immigrants are possessing skills that are needed for the Canadian marketplace, which again, to me, seems like a thing we should be doing if we want to allow people to, I shouldn't say that. If we want to allow latecomers to join the country, we should have them join in a beneficial way. So if they're possessing of skills that we need as a country in order to be prosperous, then yes. Absolutely. I feel like that should rank higher than someone who has no skills. But because again, latecomers.
Yeah, I agree with you, but also like we should give everyone in Canada like to the age of about 22 to get skills also, or they can fucking leave too.
I'm not opposed to this because again, like I don't want to involve more government, but like if we're going to involve more government, let's involve it for our own benefit.
Yeah, let's take away some of their powers in areas and give it under extreme observation in others.
Yeah. So the other thing they're talking about is reducing chain migration. Bernier didn't say it in as many words, but he talked about abolishing programs for parents and grandparents. This is effectively chain migration. And again, super on board with this. Just because you come late to the party and you want to immigrate to Canada, and lots of people want to immigrate to Canada, doesn't mean that you and everybody you've ever met should get to immigrate to Canada. Doesn't even mean that your entire extended family or even your immediate family, your parents, should necessarily be able to immigrate to Canada.
They should go through the same process.
Yeah, unless they possess skills that are relevant or financial investment capacity, or you're willing to take on the burden of caring for them, so our tax dollars are not burdened with caring for somebody who's again a latecomer. Because you haven't, if someone else's grandparents move here, they have not been paying into social
Yeah.
assistance plans for their entire life. Why should they be drawing a Canadian pension?
And if yeah, basically it's the coolest, quickest little like example of this is like if someone is against that, then you say, okay, I charge you, you have to create an insurance company that has to be profitable, but you can't turn away a new client, and they don't need to join until after they've had an accident or a health issue.
Yeah, right. And this is the problem with allowing various people to come into the country and draw from our benefits programs. It's not designed to support the entire world. If it was, it wouldn't be the Canadian pension plan. It would be, the world pension plan, which is not a thing, and it would not be sustainable. I'm also on board with their. I'm not sure what Bernier's plan is, but whatever this plan is to make sure that they are phased into integrating into the country and having a values test to make sure that they're being good Canadians, I support that. We have to all be good Canadians. I'd like to see what the test is, but
yeah, I think we kind of had similar discussion when was it Kelly Leitch was running for the conservative thing. Yeah, Leitch. She had the same idea, and I think we were like, I'm not against this, but I'd like to see what this is.
Yeah, I want to see what the tests are, but I mean, like in general, let's not have female genital mutilation in Canada. That's a value that I think your average Canadian can agree on. We don't support female genital mutilation. And if you do, maybe Canada is not the right country for you. Maybe you should go to a country where that's a thing. Not here where we treat women with equality and I begrudgingly tolerate the LGBT community.
Yeah.
Which again, that's a point from Bernier's thing, because they don't want people coming to this country and then throwing the gays off of buildings. So I think the specific quote is, along with equality for men and women, protection of LGBT rights, and a willingness to allow criticism of religion. Again, these are all values that I can get behind. We should be able to criticize these groups' religions and protect our gays, not have them flung from roofs. Like they do in certain countries.
And or be able to criticize their lifestyle choices of all of those people.
The other thing that I thought was interesting that he did talk about in this event in Mississauga, 40% of all new immigrants, 41% of all new immigrants in Canada settle in either Toronto or Vancouver, which is apparently leading to the housing crisis. So they want to address this by reducing the number of immigrants coming into the country. That will ease the housing burdens in Vancouver and Toronto. I contend that if you want to live in Toronto, that's your problems. It's the same as Vancouver. If you want to live in a crappy place where the rent's too high and the services suck, I mean, hey, you do you, man. But if I have to listen to Toronto people whine about the price of real estate, then I guess limiting the number of people who live in Toronto, I can live with that.
What?
Very, very last thing. Bernier was reading quotes out of a couple of books. One of the things, the Star, of course, compares him to Trump, which, Bernier and Trump, totally the same.
Yeah.
Just, orange Yahoo and French-Canadian guy, definitely the same. Tim's old-timey record player is going off. Bernier quoted a number of conservative writers, including, I'm going to butcher this dude's name, Neil Bosadeth's book, The Cult of Multiculturalism in Canada, looking up to caution reporters not to distort his words. And I love this quote. In case there's a CBC journalist covering this, please note these writers are not far-right white supremacists. Max Bernier continuing to prove that he's my favorite politician.
Yeah.
Like going out of your way to call the CBC out on their nonsense. I approve.
Yep. Kudos to you, good sir. Kudos to you. Keep up the good work.
All right, let's go on to the post-millennial. Hopefully Tim's got his record player sorted out.
Jesus
The Trudeau government is surveilling your social media for anti-immigrant and anti-Trudeau views. Well, I hope they're not. I hope they're not surveying my social media.
Yeah.
I feel like I'm about one post away from a government report.
Well,
So there's a series of emails. I mean, they're worth reading, but I mean, it's government emails amongst a bunch of bureaucrat gang people. So amongst the people that they were surveilling, Andrew Scheer, leader of the Conservative Party, conservative immigration critic Michelle Rampol, People's Party leader Max Bernier. In general, the comments they were looking at, the Liberal Party, they've made their very, I don't know what their Stasi is, but I like their little title, the Social Media and Care. So I like their name for the Stasi now. That's Social Media and Care. It's like whatever the government is saying, it's the opposite. So
yeah.
the Social Media and Care group is a bunch of staffers. I think it was like a dozen people. Yeah, total of 12 communication and social media staffers involved in the social care team. Tasked with surveilling tweets and Reddit posts, and who knows what else. Those are the things that made it into the access to information.
Why would they even be on the Twitter? Twitter does a good job of booting people that have any right leaning. I mean, the Reddit, I get.
Views. They're looking for
Yeah.
bigoted views, so they're very. So a bunch of the stuff is like the comments are unfavorable to the prime minister. The comments are unfavorable to government. There is also sympathetic. They are very unsympathetic to those claiming asylum. The thread has become bigoted in nature. The vast majority of popular comments were extremely negative in tone. Like these are the things that our government has learned by employing 12 people at what I'm sure is at least $100,000 a year apiece to find out that your average Canadian is bigoted and does not like the way that our Liberal government is importing people into this country.
Yeah, but were the
There's a bunch
threads
of talk.
factually correct?
Yeah, well, that seems to be the problem. There are links in the show notes.
Maybe they
So,
should
part of it was
moderate the
talking about,
YouTube
like-
comments because that's the best barometer of social attitudes.
Yeah, that's reality, man.
Yeah.
So, a lot of complaining about the asylum seekers getting $1,000 a month. A lot of complaints about asylum seekers getting hotel stays for free. Generally, Canadians not happy with the government. The government, of course, saying Canadians are bigoted. So, it's good. I look forward to this election.
Yeah.
There's a lot
last-
of names and emails in there of government officials. It's a neat article.
It is a neat article. I would definitely encourage people to read it. The actual scribed post part with the government emails is not very long. I would definitely recommend taking the time to read the 4 pages to see what the government bureaucrat gang thinks of you, your average Canadian.
And feel free to email them and tell them what you think of them.
Well, the advice
They probably already know because they probably are already watching your Twitter feed, but just in case.
the opinions and views expressed by the panelists don't necessarily reflect the views of management of Canadian Patriot Podcast, but Gavin's not wrong. Email these people. Let them know where to watch us. Monday nights, 9 p.m., YouTube.
Yeah.
At least till tomorrow when YouTube, I got to see what happens. YouTube's taking this down or what.
I wish
But
these hot links
we'll-
worked.
We'll deal with it. Yeah, a picture of a hot link is not the same as an actual hot link. Also, I could totally go for some sausages.
Yeah.
I think I'm gonna email Carly Dibka and say, hey, can you fire me a copy of that email from August 13th, 2018?
Yeah.
That you
Liberal
sent
Tim
to-
here. Can you?
Yeah, Liberal Tim here. You sent it to David Hickey, Peter Norton, Christopher Dick, all those people. Rehousing and social media.
Those things go together.
Yeah, I wish I had an intern. I'd tell him to type this shit out.
Yeah,
Well,
we can
the
afford
kids
to
do
do
it.
it. All right,
Get woke.
Let's do the last one. This is in the Calgary Herald. It's an opinion piece, but I thought it was worth covering based on who wrote it and what it was about. Independence, if necessary, but not necessarily independence. Big ol' sign, or big ol' picture of a sign. Canada is broken. 1,000 Calgarians rallied at Calgary City Hall in support of pipelines in the energy industry. This is like a stock photo from 2018. But we've talked about this before, the whole Western independence, separation of Canada, the Western provinces being their own country thing. The author of the opinion piece is Jay Hill, and Mr. Hill was the MP for Prince George Peace River for 17 years. Again, worth reading the 600 words if you have a moment to read the 600 words, but the premise is that if the Trudeau Liberals have another government in October, that the Western provinces need to seriously consider leaving the Confederation. Personally, I'm of the opinion this is about 150 years too late, but better late than never. There's been a couple of bills that have passed in the last year, specifically Bill C-48, the BC tanker ban, and Bill C-69, the pipelines ban. In addition to the federally imposed carbon tax, effectively destroying the Alberta economy, as well as the economies of Saskatchewan and other Western provinces. Brad Wall, the former Saskatchewan premier, recently wrote that if C-69 is dry kindling to the flames of Western alienation, then C-48 is the carbon taxed lighter fluid. I don't know if Brad Wall would be somebody who would unite Western Canada to become its own state, big S, but between him and somebody like Alberta Premier Jason Kenney, or somebody like Jay Hill from Eastern BC, like these are people who potentially have the political gumption that they could actually form a meaningful Western coalition, a Western independence. Because I really think that these provinces need to stop paying equalization payments to the rest of the country. Their economies have been gutted. The NDP at the provincial level effectively destroyed the remaining economy of Alberta. The Bills C-69 and C-48 effectively ended any exports of petroleum products out of Western Canada. It's probably time to dissolve the Confederation. It was a confederation of convenience to begin with. And as a country, it's a massive landmass. It's far too big to govern effectively. It's probably time for the Western provinces to separate.
I think Canada and the whole, like that, the West to separate is like we're all three of us are from Ontario, and like you immediately want to like apologize to the people in the West because like Ontario, they just see it as Ontario generally, and they say Ontario is really a shitty province, but really it's mostly Toronto. It's like almost entirely Toronto. Like so, like if they're tired of, as much as they're tired of Ontario, like voting in Liberal governments, and really the last government in 2015, like federal, was like almost everything west of like east of Manitoba was Liberal. It's just, but like if you remove the Greater Toronto area from Ontario, it's pretty conservative. So like we're just as sick of it as any of the people in the West. Like,
yeah, I mean,
like basically, if the West separates, then I want to go too. So
yeah, I mean,
instead of separating the West, like so, let's just chop Toronto out. Gavin, you can get out of there.
I'm right on the border. I'm fine.
We're shutting the gates.
I'm okay. I'm
okay.
I'm not inside the city limits, so I'm fine.
You got a fast car.
Yeah,
you'll get out before the wall goes up.
But like, I mean, if the West wants to leave, I mean, I guess there's nothing really to stop them. I mean,
I really don't blame them.
No, I don't either. But I mean, if they leave, then Quebec will start again, and Quebec will want to leave, and probably will. And then on one way or the other, Ontario will get kind of stuck because you can't really have like, I mean, when they talk about the West, I can't imagine they want BC. So it'd be like what, BC, Ontario, and the Maritimes. Like that's not really a country,
No, it's more like Vancouver, Toronto, and the Maritimes, and I'm okay with that.
Yeah. I think Alberta could get a nice little channel out to the West Coast and get a port settled up there pretty quickly. They're pretty hardworking people.
Yeah, when the government lets them do their job.
Yeah, but as far as Quebec, like Quebec has taken over like what 51% of the total transfer payments of historically. It's just like if they leave because the West leaves, like who cares? Big deal. The gravy train was cut off. Like you get none of that government cash. It would be like such a reaction that it's not going to make a difference. It's not like leaving while the gravy train is still attached. Like Alberta, if you look at it, and that's interesting. Like if anyone, our listeners are interested, you can look at historical like transfer payments. It's staggering. It's disgusting when you look at it. I've broken it down once a few years ago, not historically by the province, but also historically by population of the province. And it's just, you see, like, sure, this province has taken this many, but this one has this province, well, it doesn't seem to take as much, takes like a massive amount. Like there are provinces in the east that take like 10 times of what Quebec has had per capita.
Yeah, and they get a lot.
Yeah. And like I think, like it's just Alberta has hardly ever gotten any transfer payments whatsoever, but their contribution has like been amazing. And Ontario really only recently, like in the past like 10 or 15 years, has started taking transfer payments because we've stopped being a producer. But up until then, up until like the early 90s, we were all along like we were like generating income that the government would take and then redistribute.
Let's just disband government and then we take over. I think we got this.
No, I'm still of the opinion that we ought to just let Confederation dissolve. It was a country that was born of convenience. We have no real common shared heritage amongst the provinces. Quebec is its own French language francophone thing. Toronto and Vancouver are the cities of multiculturalism and immigration and don't want to produce meaningful economic contributions. Let them do their own thing.
Yeah.
Let the West be the West and let the rest of Ontario join them, and we build a wall around Toronto and we let Quebec separate, and it makes the drive to the Maritimes 2 days shorter.
Yeah. Whole thing should be done in 2 months.
Yeah.
This makes me sad.
Me too. Me too.
Anyway, let's all raise a glass to the West.
Yeah. Let's
Okay. Yeah, or at least the good parts.
The good
Yeah.
parts of the
stuff
West.
together.
Yeah.
All right, let's do rapid fire feedback. We're getting to that point in the show. This is from King. I assume this is a pseudonym, not an actual king. Hi, just wanted to thank you for you and your co-host work. I've been looking for Canadian podcasts on politics. I'm very happy to found your podcast on Podbean. Just wanted to say thank you and keep up the great work. I can only support with $1, but I hope it helps. And your $1 it helps. I appreciate it. It pays for our hosting costs. It means I'm not paying out of pocket to do this.
With your help,
tax
Andrew is
shelter-
now professional.
Oh no, that's not
Yeah.
true. But my tax shelter keeps the lights on, and this helps with that because the whole hosting costs money thing. Fast downloads cost money. I like fast downloads and having a proper maintenance. I don't like putting stuff up on the free part of the internet because you don't know what the free part of the internet's going to do with it. So I would rather pay the little bit of money every month to have our podcast hosting service take care of all of the stuff and make sure that listeners are served with good quality downloads at a reasonable speed and all of that good stuff. So I appreciate your $1. Thank you for listening.
Yeah. No, for real.
All right, let's do that outro thing, I guess. Tim, where can everybody find you?
You can find me at facebook.com/timsgoodtshirts, but I'll be the first to admit I'm not really active at the moment.
That's okay. You
I'm just-
got to do what you got to do for that tax shelter. If you
Yeah.
showed a profit this year, that's all you got to do. You stop once you make a profit, because after that, the government will charge you.
Did you get that
Yeah.
that drop I sent you today? for our next when you ask the next fella?
I do, but I didn't have it loaded.
Oh, don't worry about it.
We'll work on it. We'll work on it. Gavin, I guess, where are you? Where can everybody find you?
You can find me on Instagram at urbex_GTA.
All right. And everybody should find the show, CanadianPatriotPodcast.com. We have a website. It's not in German, and it's kept up to date, unlike certain other podcasts that I'm not going to mention. You should check us out, CanadianPatriotPodcast.com. Back catalog is there. Links on the right. Always go to the right. Look for the shirt link. For me, you should check out RagnarokTactical.ca. We do competitive firearms training. We do classes. We also have a bunch of stuff online, mostly medical supplies, but a bunch of firearms accessories and other soft goods. Where we have a huge selection of high-speed gear stuff that's come in. And we are definitely the place to buy the coolest operator shoes, the Maritime Assault Boots. You definitely want to get those through us because we have flat rate shipping, which makes it slightly less expensive than everyone else.
And you should also come check us out at TACOM.
Yeah, what's our booth number? 431, I think?
413, 413.
I was so close. 413. Come check us out, booth 413.
Yeah.
Gavin and I will be there.
Yeah, back of the hall on the right-hand side, because always go to the right.
Always go to the right.
Yeah. We'll be there September 6th, 7th, and 8th. Live and in person. We'll be our own booth beards.
I'm going to shout that out. Yeah, I'm going to
new term I coined. Yeah,
booth beards.
Yeah.
I'm going to shout it out once more time. Show you're not a communist. Buy a CPP t-shirt for just $19.99 plus shipping and theft. Visit CanadianPatriotPodcast.com. Follow the page. Follow the link on the right. And I got to tell you, Andrew doesn't get you guys the cheapest shirts. These are quality shirts.
Yeah,
true. These are shirts that I would wear myself. And by buying a CPP t-shirt, you help put my child through college, but you might also help put Tim's child through college. At least one of them. Buy more shirts. We want to send our kids to a good school.
I drink it all. Drink it all.
That's a good point. I definitely declare it all as income tax, 100%.
Yeah.
So yeah, check us out. Ragnarok Tactical. You should be using the discount code Patriot at checkout. That'll save you some money. There are no discounts for the shirt. They're $19.99. You buy a shirt. That's what you do. That helps. Or be a Patreon, whatever. We'll take your money however we can get it. The other thing I have to do, as always, is apologize to Rod Giltaka. I'm sorry that we couldn't get Rod on the show tonight. There was a scheduling conflict. I'm not sure, something about Western Canada.
Yeah, maybe him and Ian are having Thunderdome tonight and didn't tell us, because neither of them are on the show.
Yeah, I want my token Westerner. I don't care which token Westerner. That's why it's a token.
I mean, we'll even take Sean again if he ever materializes. Although he's not really Western so much as Central, but
yeah, they all look
Western-ish. Yeah,
they all have goatees.
More Western.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, they do all have goatees. That's a good call, Tim. All these Westerners, they all look the same.
Just blew my mind.
Right. For all of our listeners out there in podcast land, I will take this opportunity to remind you that you are the true North, strong and free.